What else do you have on this table?
Yes, we have only one copy of the prophet Isaiah here. You must know they found 1,050 scrolls. 300 scrolls are copies of books of the Bible, of the Jewish Bible, of the Hebrew Bible, of the Old Testament, as we told it. And this is from the prophet Isaiah. They are existing 22 scrolls. It's amazing. This was not a library for one personnel. It was a seminary because they have so much. And if you go more, the Psalms is existing more than 30 copies, and the fifth book of Moses, 39 copies. It's unbelievable. So, fifth book of Moses, Psalms, Isaiah. This is a top 3 list, if you would say like this. If you go in the New Testament, how many times do you know what is the most book of the Old Testament about what Jesus is speaking?
Would it be, I think I do know.
Yeah, okay.
I'm going to suggest it's Deuteronomy. Is that
exactly
correct? Yeah.
And you have the most copies of the Bible of Deuteronomy and the Qumran. You see, Jesus was a Jew. Yeah. At this time, most people understood the fifth book of Moses has to do something with the Messiah. If Christians today start reading the fifth book of Moses, they will end after 3 chapters. They said, I can't understand this. But the Jews understood this is a very important book, one of the most important books in the Tanakh, which tell us about the Messiah. So we have much more scroll here. And this one is a Psalm scroll. This is very amazing. It was found in Cave 11 in 1956. And this Psalm scroll, this is like the prayer book in America. It's a collection of psalms we have in the Bible. But it's also new psalms. At this time they did themselves to proclaim God, to proclaim the kingdom. And what is amazing, you have the name of God. This is a very new copy they just did in Israel. So it's not the original one, but it's very wonderful. If you look here, you can see this is not the normal Hebrew way they wrote. You see this is the name of God and is written in the Paleo-Hebrew script. This is the second commandment. Pay attention. This is the name of God, and be aware of it. So this is really a sign for the reader. Yeah. This is called the Tetragrammaton, the name with the 4.
It's over here too, isn't it?
There, you can find it many times. Look here, you can see it here also.
It's got a very distinctive look.
Yeah, this is amazing how they did. So this is new technique the Israelis now is doing. They have a much better camera than you have, my friend.
Yeah.
They have a satellite camera from the NASA for looking after enemies, and they're using it. So this scroll is photographed 26 times with different angles, different flashlights from both sides. Then they combine the 26 and 26 from the other side to a 57 photo. And this what we have is now the printout of this 57 photo, which is 1 gigabyte, much more than 1 gigabyte, one photo.
Yeah.
And this scholar is using today because now you can read much better.
Really get in close.
Much better the text than an original text. I have seen this original one in the laboratory. They took it out from the treasury room and they showed it to me, and I knew the photographer who's doing this wonderful job. And I was amazed, and he showed me, look, after my work with the photographing, with the modern digital cameras, the scholars can read much better than it's in the original one.
Well, it makes so much sense to do it this way, doesn't it?
And so I have some copies more, which this now done with the new technique. For example, I have here a plate with me. This was shown in America, and the people had been amazed. This is the oldest copy of the 10 Commandments. It's from the first century.
So
this is unbelievable. So, and it's really the 10 Commandments as we know it.
So the 10 Commandments, you know,
it's called the 10 Commandments scroll. It's from cave 4. It was discovered in 1952, and in this cave, they found 600 scrolls in this one cave. But there had been 40,000 fragments. Unbelievable.
Wow.
And to put this together, they formed a team of 6 scholars worldwide. But you know, at this time, Jerusalem was captured by the Jordanians in 48. Even the west part, the northern part of the Dead Sea by Jericho. And so no Jew was allowed to go to study the scroll. Only they formed a team of Christians and atheists from all over from America,
Is it
English.
Christians and atheists?
Exactly.
Okay.
One of the scholars, he was an agnostic man.
Yeah.
He didn't believe anything. And so it was a multinational team working on this. And you know who paid the salary at the beginning? It was Rockefeller.
Oh.
Yes, till 61 he paid the salary, and they bought from the Rockefeller money the scrolls, so the Ten Commandments scroll, the Psalm scroll, and this scroll. This is from the Cave 1 again, found in this jar. And this is a wonderful copy of a very unusual Bible book, because this is not a copy of a Bible book. This is a commentary. You know, you have in English, American, Germany, we have study Bibles with commentaries. In Hebrew, you call this a pesha. And you can read in the text, this is the prophet Habakkuk, the first 2 chapters. One verse, and after the verse, there's coming the word pesha. That means commentary, and the man who wrote this scroll is explaining the prophecy of Habakkuk for his time.
Okay.
So it's wonderful to read. Nobody had the knowledge that at the time of Jesus there had been a kind of Bible commentaries.
Yeah.
So this is not the only one. We have a Pesha to Nahum, to Habakkuk, to many other books.
Well, this was hundreds of years before that time, wasn't it? So these scrolls. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So these scrolls are very amazing, because these are scrolls which are much more older than 1,000 years from the latest existing copy of the Old Testament, or from the Jewish Bible, as we will call it. And you could see the scribes did a wonderful job. You have to give them the note summa cum laude. That means number one.
Number one.
The best. So in Germany, if you're the best, it's 1, and the baddest is 6. I don't know, it's the same system in America. No. If you're the best...
Yeah, you're number one, that's for sure.
Okay. So you get the note 1, summa cum laude, absolutely best. So it's unbelievable. So if you have the job to write down the Bible, it takes a long time, and I'm sure we both will make many mistakes. But these scribes, they knew they are copying the holy word of God. You're not allowed to do a mistake. And if you allow, I will show you one wonderful example in this scroll. You see some parts, they are some smaller letters between the lines.
Yeah.
And this is where you can see there was the one who corrected the text. And he saw, there's one verse missing, and he corrected it in a wonderful way. Beside this, you have here a big gap. This is amazing. This is chapter 33, the last verse of chapter 33. You know, Isaiah has 66 chapters. That means one scribe copied the 50% up to 33, and the second scribe copied from 34 up to 66. Here's a gap, not in chapter 39 and 40, as the criticals thought it should be. You can see, if you really check, even if you don't know Hebrew, you see the Lamed, the Hebrew L, is different from this. So these are 2 different scribes. So one did the first part of the job, and the other did the second. And then another one came and corrected the text. And this is amazing. If you
they can have a quality control.
Exactly. Today you can scan the text if you're writing. But look here, again, if we go to chapter 40, and this is chapter 40, verse 8, and you see here are 4 dots. 4 dots. That means pay attention. Here's a correction.
Okay, let me go in there and try to get a...
Exactly.
I see that, yep.
And you see this is verse 8, which is missing. Perhaps you take your iPad Bible, please, again, and you read the listeners Isaiah chapter 40, the verse 7 and 8.
Am I in the right spot here? It says, the grass withers and the flowers fall, because the breath of the Lord blows on them. Surely the people are grass. The grass withers and the flowers fall.
The grass withers is in verse 7. It's again in verse 8.
Yeah. Then it says, but the word of our God stands forever.
Yes, you see, but in verse 7 is the same beginning like in verse 8.
Yeah.
So this scribe copied the text.
Yeah.
He said the grass withered. He wrote it down. He looked on the original one, which he was copying, and he said, this verse I just wrote. Because verse 8 is beginning like verse 7. He said, no, I must go to the next verse. So he left one verse out because he didn't see that verse 8 is, the first part is the same, but you see the second part is different. Can you read again verse 7 and 8?
Okay, the grass withers and the flowers fall, because the breath of the Lord blows on them. Surely the people are grass.
This is verse 7, okay.
The grass withers and the flowers fall, but the word of our God stands forever.
Stands forever, this is a very important verse.
Yeah.
It will be stay in eternity. And look here, now this verse 8, because it's similar in the beginning,
Yeah.
he missed, and the corrector, he put the verse 8 here, and because it's sewed together, you see he had written down like this way.
Oh,
you
look
can
at
see
that.
a correction like this way too.
Oh, look at, yeah.
So it's really amazing if you
So
see
the
on the
quality
scrolls.
control was there.
Yes, and you see what is very important, you see in the correction,
There's one right there.
you
too.
see writing down this line.
Yeah.
You should
see?
photograph the original one, but it's never on display. It's only
Yeah.
the copy on display in Israel.
Yeah. Okay.
So you see again 4 dots,
Yeah.
but this is not the sign for mistake. 4 dots means in this case, this is the name of God. So we believe, or the scholars believe, and I follow this theory, the corrector was not in the right position to write down the name of God.
When
He
you
was
say,
not in the level.
in other words, he wasn't high enough level
We
of
believe
a
there had
scribe?
been different levels of scribes.
Okay.
And only the one who has a special purification, things like this, was able to write the name of God. So you see here 4 dots. This is a gap for putting in the name of God. And you see, original scribe, he could do it. Look, this is the name of God here. You see it here, and this is the place, the right place where he wrote down exactly the right name of God. So
the big question then is how trustworthy is all this? I mean, that's what people have been critical of, and is that why the Dead Sea Scrolls are so important?
One very famous scholar of the Dead Sea Scrolls, he came from a liberal position, and he once told to me, Alexander, after working for more than 20 years with the scroll, I'm very close to the Bible text, because I'm persuaded it's true. If you see the text, if you see the evidence of the text, how trustful is transmitted, you really must become and saying, wow, this is not a normal book. This must be the book of the books. It must be the book of God.